The last time I talked about Pokemon forms, I asked if there was any forms I missed, and boy did I ever. Way more than I thought I even could. My main form of knowing what Pokemon have forms is through my personal living dex, and that ultimately led me to thinking I had most of them covered, but that's just not the case. So today, we are going to remedy this, and hopefully this time I will cover all the ones that I miss. Before jumping in, a huge thank you to everyone that commented on the last video letting me know which ones I missed. I really appreciate it. Jumping right in, there's a lot in the Pikachu family I missed. For starters, there's Spiky Ear Pichu. This little fella has a special spiky ear, and is locked behind an event in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Being unable to evolve, as well as not being able to be traded or transferred, this Pichu gets left behind as the series continues to march forward. Much like Spiky-Eared Pichu, Cosplay Pikachu is also left behind. Being female only, with the heart shape on the tail being filled in black, much like many people think Pikachu's tail used to have a black end. So, on the base form, it is already visually unique. Again, like the Pichu, this Pikachu cannot evolve. However, as its name suggests, it can cosplay. There are 5 different outfits Cosplay Pikachu can wear: Rockstar, Popstar, Libre, PhD, and Belle. Each form gives a unique move, and each costume correlates to a contest category. Rockstar is cool and learns Meteor Mash, Popstar is cute and learns Draining Kiss, Libre is tough and learns Flying Press, PhD is clever and learns Electric Terrain, and Belle is beautiful with it learning Icicle Crash. These two Pokemon are both long abandoned in the mainline games, but they continue to be remembered in other media. I covered them a bit more in my video, The Pokemon Lost to Time, which will be linked in the description below if you are interested. Still not done with Pikachu, we have the Ash Cat Pikachu. These are a collection of Pikachus wearing various hats that Ash has worn throughout the anime. The hat each one has is permanent and cannot be changed, and unsurprisingly they cannot evolve. These Pikachu are usually delegated to events, barring the Partner Cat Pikachu, which is obtainable in the Pikachu Valley after scanning a QR code. All of these Pikachu are able to use a special and unique Z move, being 10 million volt Thunderbolt through the Pikachunium Z. To finish off our Pikachu forms, we have Partner Pikachu, who is joined by Partner Eevee in the Let's Go games. These partner Pokemon are your guaranteed starters in Let's Go, depending on the version you play. The Pokemon have a bunch of changes compared to their normal counterparts, such as not being able to evolve, being different sizes, Eevee being larger than normal and Pikachu being smaller. They have 31 IVs in every stat, are impossible to be shiny, always adventure outside of their Pokeball, and they even have their own list of exclusive moves. Partner Eevee also has a few extra differences, such as having a changed gender ratio, as well as where they first introduced Eevee's gender difference, having a heart-tail pattern to match Pikachu. One I didn't forget but intentionally excluded last time was Spinda. However, it received a good amount of support in the comments, and so it's made its way into this follow-up. Spinda has a very modest amount of forms, only having a mere 4,294,967,295 forms. These forms are in the form of 4 dots on its head that have their locations determined by the Pokemon's data. It is quite possible you'll never see the exact same Spinda pattern twice. Genesect, much like Arceus and Silvally, has forms that changes the type of its signature move, Technoblast. This one surprised me that I forgot about it, but alas here we are. You can give Genesect the Shock Drive, Burn Drive, Chill Drive, or the Douse Drive to change the move's type to Electric, Fire, Ice, or Water respectively. You can see the physical drive change on top of Genesect's cannon depending on the drive it is holding. One of the most baffling and easily forgettable forms comes with Xerneas. Xerneas has 2 forms, active and neutral. The difference between the two? Its horns and details lines light up in active form. This form is what's on the box and what you think of when you think of Xerneas, but this form is only when it's in battle. The majority of the time it's in neutral form. The form change is not super noticeable, and it leads to situations where many people think the Xerneas they just caught and go or in the Dynamax Adventures is shiny because it looks different for no reason whatsoever. Yveltal doesn't get a form like this, Zygarde didn't get forms until the next generation. This singular form change has baffled me for over a decade at this point. Speaking of Zygarde, it has 2 forms I didn't mention last time because they're not usable forms, being the cores and cells. These are mostly just extra world building bits for Zygarde, but it came up in the comments so I thought I would include them. The box legends of Sun and Moon, Solgaleo and Lunala, were already mentioned in the previous video through their connection with Necrozma. However, they have what are referred to as phases, Radiant Sun phase for Solgaleo and Full Moon phase for Lunala. These phases are only seen when they are attacking or traversing through Ultra Space. The 4 island deities all have a form when they use the Z move Guardian of Alola. This move sees Tapu Koko, Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele, or Tapu Bulu close into their shells and become the head of a giant glowing body, and it reverts back once the attack is over. Up next we have yet another Gen 7 battle-only form, this one coming from the mythical Marshadow. Marshadow usually sports an all smoky gray appearance, but when it attacks, its hood/helmet-like part turns green as it enters its Zenith mode. This change is purely visual, and it's also the only thing that changes from Marshadow Shiny, meaning the shiny and normal forms usually look the exact same. On the topic of mythicals, we have Zarude. This fella, unlike most of the other mythicals which have non-permanent forms, has a permanent form change, like Magearna. Normally there's just Zarude, but there is also Dada Zarude, which is just Zarude wearing a torn banner as a cape. That's all. There's no stat changes or moveset differences, it's just wearing a cape for some reason. Moving on, we have come to yet another Pokemon that was covered in the previous video but has more to share. Ogerpon, having 4 different forms, also has a unique Terra form for each. In the Terra forms, the respective mass grows in size and changes shape. Don't think there's a whole lot more to it than just being visual, but it's definitely at least worth mentioning. Our next entry is actually a group of Pokemon, being the Totem Pokemon. The Totem Pokemon are the bosses of the Alola region instead of gym leaders. These are oversized Pokemon with boosted stats. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, you are able to obtain these Pokemon for yourself. These are Alolan Raticate, Alolan Marowak, Gumshoos, Vikavolt, Ribombee, Arachnoquid, Lurantis, Salazzle, Togedemaru, Mimikyu, and kommo-o. The Totem Wishiwashi from Base Sun and Moon, and the Totem Hakamo-o from the demo are unable to be obtained. If these Pokemon are transferred up, they lose their giant sizing, and the ones that are based on boss totems only found in the Ultra games are unable to be transferred at all. These are more Pokemon than I covered in the Pokemon Lost to Time video, so check there for some more info. In a similar vein to the Totem Pokemon, there are the Starmobiles. The Starmobiles are Reva Rooms that are customized to look like massive cars used by the leaders of Team Star in Scarlet and Violet. Each one has a different type, ability, and signature move. They are: the Segan Starmobile, which is Dark type, has Intimidate and the signature move Wicked Torque. The Shedder Starmobile is Fire type, has Speed Boost for an ability and the move Blazing Torque. The Navi Starmobile gets Toxic Debris and the signature move Noxious Torque. The Ruckbaw Starmobile is Fairy type, it has the Misty Surge ability and has the move Magical Torque. And finally there's the Cap Starmobile, which is Fighting type, has Stamina for its ability, and has Combat Torque for its signature move. These forms are only usable by their respective leaders and cannot be obtained by the player. Speaking of Pokemon that cannot be obtained by the player, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl allows for the player to face off against the shadowy Giratina in Romanus Park. This Giratina is not catchable and serves more like a secret boss that allows for the player to get the Grisius Orb. The room you fight it in references the Distortion World from Pokemon Platinum, a location sadly missing from the game due to being faithful remakes of Diamond and Pearl. In the code of the Gen 6 and 7 games exists a special form of Floette, known as the Eternal Flower Floette. This form could not evolve, had its own signature move, and was event exclusive, and it was unfortunately never distributed. There is hope that we could finally see it once Legends Z to A releases next year, but if not, this Pokemon is truly one that seems to be doomed to be lost to the tides of time. Here, I will give a shout out to the Pokemon Go forums. There's a shit ton of them. Most of them have limited time availability, some are cool, some are pretty lazy, but they all feed into the FOMO machine that is Pokemon Go. None of them can be transferred out of though, not even ones that exist in the main games, like Ash at Pikachu. I'm not a big fan of them, but I sure have a bunch of them. I wasn't going to include them, but they got enough support in the comments, I figured I might as well just add them in here as a little footnote. I will give an honorable mention to Shadow Lugia from XD Gale of Darkness. It's quite different looking from regular Lugia, and only has shadow moves. I won't go too deep on this one, as I plan to talk about it more in the future. Alright, now this should hopefully be all the Pokemon forms. Again, if there's some I still missed, let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, leaving a like or even subscribing would be greatly appreciated, as it truly does help out this channel. Also, if you really like the content, consider becoming a member. Doing so grants some perks such as having your name show up on screen right about now in future videos. With all that said, this has been Big Blast 99, and I would like to thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have yourselves a goddamn good one.